A big scone came up instantly where the Corona bottle had smacked the side of my sister's head. It was red and sore and had barely missed her ear. She was lucky, shaken, but lucky. The streets were really dark and deserted. We had to get out of there fast. I had ignored my intuition, and this was all my fault. See, the night had started well. Being thrifty, we'd booked a cheaper hotel slightly past the stratosphere along the glitter strip. The three of us, my sister, my brother, and me, we were a team on an adventure, having just jumped off a 14-hour Greyhound bus trip from San Diego, arriving in Vegas in the early hours of the morning. We were so relieved to get off that bus from hell and breathe some fresh air. Someone should have fixed the toilet at the back of the bus. It had been a gritty, eye-opening drive, and watching someone shoot heroin in a car park was pretty shocking for me. Never mind, we had finally made our destination in Vegas. To me, Vegas has always been the image portrayed in Hollywood movies, fast and fun. It certainly lived up to its name. There was nothing but bright lights and endless casinos. Drunken men and women packed the streets. And I could compare it because I'd already been to Beale Street in Memphis and Bourbon Street in New Orleans. It was kind of like an adults-only version of Disneyland. The sun had risen by the time we checked in, and as we unpacked our bags in our hotel room, we looked around and noticed some dodgy trimmings that had complemented the hotel, I guess, in retrospect. A wet carpet that squelched under our feet, an air conditioner that sounded like a jet engine, and of course, a bedspread that looked like you should only use tongs to get into the safety of the hopefully clean sheets. It didn't matter though. We wanted to just get out and start our adventure. We were in our early 20s. We were ready for fun. But first, a well-deserved nap, 14-hour Greyhound bus trip. And then we would sample the delights of Sin City. So just before we left the hotel room, I remember my sister and I deliberating on whether we should leave the passport hidden in the hotel room or safely in our purses. It's a bit of a mixed debate on travel advice sites. So I decided I didn't like the look of her handbag with the little tiny spaghetti strap and one shoulder thing and could be tugged off her body at any time. So we tucked our passports under the mattress and headed out. The hotel, being cheaper, was a good 30 minutes walk to the main section of the strip where all the major hotels are that you'd probably be familiar with. There were hardly any people around back down where we were, and as we passed the stratosphere again, people started to populate the streets. I thought nothing of it, and neither did my crew. It was all new to us, so a full day of walking ensued, including a cheeky beer, a few slots to lose money in. None of us were really gamblers, but with big money or anything. We left my brother at his now favorite poker table at the Flamingo and went on our own adventure, just my sister and I. It takes about 45 minutes to walk down one side of the Las Vegas Boulevard. And in the 40-degree heat in the middle of summer, that's really exhausting. So we lasted till 4 a.m. the next morning. And after a ridiculously big day of exploring, we began the walk back to the hotel. So as we passed the stratosphere again, the last hotel at the north end of the strip, we noticed the lack of people again. It was eerily quiet. I didn't like it, but I ignored the feeling. The last dodgy hotel I noticed had strippers and an ad for a raging bull ride, which I noted I would not be partaking in. And we kept close to each other and continued to walk. She was wearing no shoes and a t-shirt hugged her and was too short for her stomach, which kind of hung out kind of oddly. She had tiny shorts on and messy hair, and she held a half-full bottle of beer in her hand. It really was a ridiculously odd scene, but it didn't click at the time. There she was. She was just standing, a young Hispanic woman, all alone with no shoes on and no one else around her, just standing there on the side of the footpath. As we approached, she called out to us, "Excuse me, do you know where Fitzgerald Street is?" She had a map in her other hand, and my sister was slightly in front of me and did a big kind of round step around this strange woman. She sensed danger. She was much more alert than I was, my sister. She then spoke for both of us, my sister, and said that we didn't know and we couldn't help her. I, on the other hand, was very naive. I had very little experience to draw from and had never encountered any dodgy street behavior in my entire life, including the whole year that I lived in questionable locations in London. I stepped towards this odd woman and peered into her map. I wanted to help, searching for this mystery street, which turns out doesn't actually exist. Suddenly, I was very confused. There was movement and erratic motion, and I was stunned, frozen. I didn't know what was going on. As the scene became clear, I realized this woman had grabbed my sister's handbag and was madly playing tug of war with her while they were both clutching it tight. Neither would let go. In a panic, my sister sprayed the woman with her water from a plastic bottle, and it was momentarily confusing the woman. So whack. Next thing I knew, my sister was reeling in pain as the force of a Corona bottle, glass bottle, made contact with the side of her head. Instantly, she let go. And the woman ran down the side street to a car waiting, which we only noticed as she jumped in. My sister burst into tears, in shock, in pain, as this car drove off, never to be seen again, at least by us. My passport! My sister screamed. It was a hard-hitting thought that terrified the both of us. This woman had stolen all her money, her cards, and her passport. It was time to get the hell out of there. And we ran back to the hotel, my sister clutching the side of her head. The hotel clerk was completely apathetic, just did not give a damn. Despite the mascara and the tears smeared on my poor sister's face, he remained rude and sour to us. We had no one to turn to, but we called our dad back in San Diego, who, upon hearing the news, immediately booked us into the Riviera, right at the heart of the Strip. By this point, I'd had enough. I wanted out of Vegas. That very moment, I wanted to have nothing to do with Vegas ever again, but we still had 3 days left. The next morning, we checked into the Riviera and was pleasantly surprised. It was a nice, modern room in one of the original Vegas casinos. Probably you might know the famous movie Casino that was filmed there with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Sharon Stone. So the joy of being in Vegas was returning. But first, my brother wanted to play investigator. He revisited the very spot where we were mugged and found the infamous Corona bottle. Carefully picking it up with a tissue, he placed it in a paper bag, ready to lift the prints. That evening, the three of us went to a very scary place, a place I would not recommend if you can help it, the downtown Las Vegas police station. I remember it being so dark around the outside of it, and it was kind of scary. The police were quite impressed, though, by my brother's genius idea to get the prints. And after we both sketched our best recollection of what this woman looked like, it became apparent that this woman was a regular menace to the neighborhood and preyed on the tourists. There were many accounts of a woman in the same description doing the same thing to many other poor people, poor, ignorant, naive people, I suppose. So the rest of the trip was probably very similar to any other description in a travel blog about the famous city of sin. I mean, although I won't mention the fall my sister then had in the Bellagio Hotel foyer and the blood that happened after that, and she has some stories to take with her forever. I, on the other hand, learned a lot that night through the misfortune of my sister, but I realized that the feeling in my gut should be listened to. It's to be careful. It's a natural instinct. It's from our reptilian brain. It's fight, flight, freeze. And I didn't listen to it. But most of all, I ignored my heart. And see, I'd become so used to ignoring my heart. And I've since spent a lot more time listening to my gut feelings and my heart and every choice I make. We're all blessed with this amazing thing called intuition. And to this day, that night in Vegas is a reminder to me to always listen to my intuition. So this experience was actually more than a decade ago now. I've learned about the powerful technology of the heart. We are walking around with finely tuned sonar equipment, if you like, in the center of our chest. Our hearts can detect an event before the other physical senses of our body are even told something's going to happen. So this amazing electromagnetic field around the heart is up to 100 times stronger than that of the brain. So we can detect this field several feet from the body. Science has shown they can do that. So even more brilliant, though, is the fact that we can live in our heart, and there will be therefore be shown the intuitively guided direction that is best for us in any given moment. We've learned to live in our heads too much in this culture. But at any time, we can drop down into our hearts and be fed with divine intelligence, with wisdom, with intuition, with guidance. It's all there for us. We have the means to live a life of flow without having to overthink and underfeel in the process. So forget about how you've been taught to live over controlling and overthinking and then wanting to escape because it's all so overwhelming. And I think that's where I was over a decade ago. I was always just numbing myself. When we learn to live more fully in our hearts, we access a far higher energy, just as an antenna would receive frequencies. So these heart-based frequencies carry the wisdom and guidance and intelligence and intuition that's needed for solutions and answers to situations every day we might encounter. They might be dangerous, like when I was in Vegas with the mugging, but I may have been shown a better path. I don't believe in regret. I believe in learning from every experience we have. So I've learned to access my heart, to stop overthinking, to drop down into my heart in every moment I possibly can. Whether I'm confused or clear, it's still an important space to live here. So I hope this has been inspiring to you, to help you keep you safe and also give you the guidance and intelligence and wisdom that can be accessed from this amazing technology. So have a beautiful day, and please like this video if it resonates and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy these videos. Bye.